I don't go over there that often. I always made a promise that until my children were old enough that I wouldn't leave them for more than a week.
Marie Osmond just stunned the world with a decision almost no one saw coming. Marie has decided to cut her children out of her will, leaving several questions in the hearts of fans. Why would a mother, famous for her warmth and family values, make such a bold choice? But many people don't understand that there's more to this story than the headlines and rumors. There have been deeply personal moments, family tensions, and decisions that change everything we thought we knew about Marie Osmond's love life, family, success, and sacrifice. Once you understand the true reason behind her decision, it'll leave you questioning the essence of family, fortune, and protecting those you love. Early life and rise to fame. Marie Osmond's decision to cut her children out of her will has shocked everyone. But to her it makes perfect sense because it isn't just about the money, it's about everything she has lived through. From her traumatic childhood in a famous family to the losses, struggles, and hard lessons that shaped her life, it's clear that Marie's choice is the result of decades of experience. This wasn't a cold move targeted at her children. It's a message, and it goes all the way back to how she was raised, what she went through as a mother, and what she wants her children to learn the hard way, just like she did. Marie Osmond was born on October 13, 1959, as the eighth of 9 children and the only girl. From the moment she was born, Marie was set apart, not just because she was the youngest daughter in a house full of boys, but because she was born into a showbiz family. The Osmonds weren't just a family, they were a brand. And so Marie's life was different. While other little girls played in backyards or daydreamed about school, Marie spent her time standing in front of bright lights and cameras. Her first appearance on television came at just 4 years old, and from there she began a long and eventful journey to stardom. The Osmond family was known for their clean-cut image and strong values, deeply rooted in their faith. Discipline and perfection weren't optional, they were expected. The family taught her that there was a certain way to behave, a way to speak, and even a way to feel. And Marie learned early on that her feelings weren't always allowed to show. By the time she was a teenager, she was already a star. At just 14 years old, Marie released her first solo single, Paper Roses. The song became a massive hit, climbing the charts and making her a household name almost overnight. But while the world saw a rising star, Marie was still just a young girl, carrying the weight of adult expectations on her shoulders. She didn't grow up like other kids. There were no school dances, sleepovers, or teenage rebellion, because there was always an audience watching, either on camera or off. Fame came early, at the cost of her childhood, and that loss stayed with her. Marie has spoken about the immense pressure she felt to always be perfect. As the only girl in the family, she wasn't just performing. She was representing the image of the perfect daughter. But behind the stage makeup and television smiles, Marie was struggling quietly, in ways she couldn't explain at the time. One of the most painful parts of her past came to light many years later, when Marie revealed that she had experienced some inappropriate behavior as a child. She didn't go into graphic detail, but the pain in her voice said enough. For years, she carried that trauma silently, buried beneath layers of stage lights and rehearsed happiness. This inappropriate behavior didn't come from a family member, but it happened during a time when she was traveling, working, and being left in the care of others. It's something no child should go through. And for Marie, it was another example of how fame at a young age doesn't always protect. But Marie kept going. She kept showing up, working hard, and smiling in front of the cameras. Throughout her teen years, Marie continued to rise alongside her brothers. Together, Donnie and Marie became one of America's favorite sibling duos, hosting their own variety show in the late 1970s. They sang, danced, cracked jokes, and entertained millions. On screen, everything looked perfect, but off-screen, Marie was quietly battling anxiety, low self-worth, and the pressure to live up to the image people expected of her. She has admitted that during this time, she struggled with feeling like she was never enough, and those thoughts, planted early, would follow her well into adulthood. What made it harder was the fact that the Osmonds were a deeply religious family. Their Mormon faith shaped every part of their lives. There was a way Marie was forced to act, especially as a young woman. She was expected to be obedient, pure, hardworking, and above all, humble. It was a high standard to live up to, especially for someone already facing the constant scrutiny and judgment of the public eye. But all of this shaped her. The early fame, pressure, and silence around her trauma built her into the woman she would become. It also shaped the way she viewed motherhood, money, and what it means to prepare your children for the real world. And while the spotlight followed Marie through her early years, it couldn't protect her from what came next. Fame may have shaped her childhood, but love would test her in ways she never expected. Behind the fame was a woman searching for something far more fragile than fame, someone to truly see her. But what happened when she finally gave her heart is a story even her fans didn't see coming. Love, heartbreak, and second chances. Marie Osmond may have grown up in the spotlight, but when it came to love, she was just like anyone else. She was hopeful, vulnerable, and willing to believe in forever. However, her heart would take more than a few hits before finding its way home again. She was only 22 when she first married Stephen Craig, a former basketball player at Brigham Young University. They were young, in love, and full of dreams. To the outside world, it looked like a fairy tale between a rising star and her sweetheart. But behind the wedding photos and headlines were two people struggling to keep up with the pace of fame, expectation, and real life. What most people didn't understand is the fact that the pressures of Marie's career didn't pause for marriage. Between filming, touring, and trying to live up to the wholesome image she had carried for years, the cracks started to show. They had one child together, a son named Stephen Jr., but their relationship couldn't weather the storm. And in 1985, just 3 years after tying the knot, Marie and Stephen parted ways. It was her first real heartbreak. And for Marie, it wasn't just the end of a marriage, it was the unraveling of something she thought would last forever. A few years later, in 1986, she got married again, this time to Brian Blosel, a music producer. Their union was quieter and more private. Together, they built a large family, raising 7 children, 2 biological and 5 adopted. To the public, it seemed like Marie had finally found a steady husband, a house full of love, and a quieter chapter away from the spotlight. But behind closed doors, the reality was far more complicated. Over the years, Marie hinted that her marriage to Blosel was far from happy. There were moments of deep emotional struggle and periods when she felt lost, unheard, and alone. Though she rarely aired personal details, Marie admitted the relationship had become toxic. But what hurt most was that her children could see it. They watched their mothers suffer in silence, and eventually they spoke up. She's shared in interviews that her children were the ones who finally pushed her to make a change. They told her, lovingly but firmly, that she deserved better and that it was time to stop settling. And that simple, heartbreaking truth gave her the courage to walk away. In 2007, after 21 years of marriage, Marie and Brian divorced. It was a major turning point in her life. Professionally, she kept going with her music career and even launched her talk show. But personally, she was healing, rebuilding, and learning how to live on her own terms for the first time in decades. But then something unexpected happened. Years after her divorce, Marie found herself back in touch with her first husband, Stephen Craig. What began as casual conversation soon turned into something deeper. They were older now and far wiser. Life had knocked them around, but it had made room for forgiveness and growth. In 2011, Marie did something most people never imagined. She married Stephen Craig again, nearly 30 years after their first wedding. But this time there was no pressure and no spotlight chasing them down the aisle. They got married in a private ceremony, and Marie even wore the same wedding dress from 1982, symbolizing that some things, when true, find their way back. She's spoken about how different their relationship is the second time around. There's no pretending, and now they both understand what really matters and what doesn't. Marie has called it her happily ever after. And for someone who spent a lifetime performing, that kind of peace was more valuable than anything money or fame could buy. But love wasn't the only thing that came full circle in Marie's life. With each chapter, every heartbreak, and every second chance came a deeper understanding of what it truly meant to give. And nothing would test that more than motherhood. For Marie, motherhood was filled with years of sacrifice, silent battles, and choices no parent ever wants to make. And what the world didn't see was how far Marie would go to protect the people she loved most, even when it nearly broke her. Marie's motherhood journey and challenges. For all the applause and adoration Marie Osmond earned on stage, nothing ever came close to the experience of being a mom. Her journey into motherhood began in 1983 with the birth of her first child, Stephen Jr., during her marriage to Stephen Craig, and for a brief moment, life seemed to slow down. Marie felt something deeper than any standing ovation, and a love that was quiet, protective, and permanent. But that sense of peace didn't last. With her divorce looming and a career still demanding attention, Marie quickly found herself navigating life as a young mother in the public eye. Reflecting on the experience in an interview, she said, "All of a sudden I'm a single mom, and I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent, let alone feed my kid. So I decided I had to get back to work. It wasn't easy, and it certainly wasn't perfect, but her love for her son motivated and grounded her in ways nothing else could." Years later, after marrying Brian Blossel, Marie opened her heart even wider to 7 new children. Although 5 were adopted, there was no distinction. Each child was chosen, loved, and fiercely protected. She's spoken often about the decision to adopt, how she felt called to it, how she knew her family wasn't complete until these children found their way to her. It wasn't just about filling a house with noise and laughter. It was about giving love where it was needed most. But motherhood also came with a heartbreak Marie could have never prepared for. In 2010, her 18-year-old son Michael, one of her adopted children, tragically passed away. He had struggled for years with mental health issues, quietly battling a sadness that even Marie, with all her devotion, couldn't fully reach. The loss shattered her, and in interviews, she recalled the devastating moment she received the news, and how for a time she wasn't sure she'd ever be the same. Grief doesn't make sense, especially when it involves a child. And for Marie, the pain wasn't just about losing Michael, it was about the questions that came afterward. What could she have done differently? Why hadn't love been enough to save him? However, in an interview she said, "I think if you live in what-ifs, you stop living." The tragic loss of her son hurt her in the deepest way, but it also opened the door to a conversation she had long avoided about her own mental health. Marie revealed that she too had struggled with depression, especially after the struggles she had gone through as a child. She admitted that she understood the darkness and loneliness that come with it. Thankfully, she recovered, and over time she began to understand that strength doesn't always look like a smile. Sometimes, it's just getting out of bed, showing up, and holding on. And this understanding shaped the way she raised her children. Marie became known for her strict parenting style and for constantly setting boundaries and structure, like rules, curfews, and responsibilities that are essential. Through every triumph and every heartbreak, Marie's journey has been about love, sacrifice, and tough choices. But some decisions weigh heavier than others, and what Marie revealed was a shocking detail about her will. It surprised many and stirred questions about legacy, family, and the quiet battles still being fought behind closed doors. The announcement that shocked everyone. Marie Osmond's name has long been associated with grace, warmth, and family values. Yet in 2020, the beloved singer and television personality stunned fans and the public alike with a revelation that seemed almost unthinkable for someone so closely tied to family life. During an episode of the daytime talk show The Talk, Marie dropped a bombshell by announcing she had chosen to cut her children out of her will. The room fell silent as she explained her decision with a gentle clarity that made listeners pause. Marie and her husband Steve Craig had agreed that their children would not inherit her fortune. Instead, their wealth would be directed to charity, supporting causes close to their hearts, and this left many shocked and curious. How could a mother make such a choice? Was she truly turning her back on her children? The announcement quickly made headlines, sparking intense debate on social media and in entertainment circles. For a woman who had publicly shared so much about her family life, it felt unrealistic. However, some others applauded her decision, calling it brave and refreshing. Celebrity commentators weighed in too, with some praising Marie for taking a stand against entitlement and encouraging self-sufficiency. When asked about the reasons for her choice, her answers were very simple, yet very profound. Marie believes that true fulfillment comes from working hard and earning your own way. She has said that she doesn't want her children to inherit money simply because of their family name. Instead, She wants them to experience the satisfaction of building something for themselves, of facing challenges and overcoming them. For Marie, hard work is not just about making a living. It's about shaping character and building self-esteem. She has seen firsthand the dangers of entitlement and how it can dull ambition. And so, her decision is based on the idea that work gives meaning and purpose beyond dollars and cents. One of Marie's biggest fears as a parent was that her children might grow up feeling entitled to a life of comfort without effort. In her eyes, inheritance can sometimes breed complacency, making it easier to go through life rather than striving for personal growth. And so, by deciding not to leave them her fortune, Marie hopes to remove the temptation to rely on inherited wealth and instead inspire them to forge their own paths. In the interview, she said, "Honestly, why would you enable your child to not try to be something? I don't know anybody who becomes anything if they're just handed money. To me, the greatest gift you can give your child is a passion to search out who they are inside and to work." But many people do not realize that her choice is deeply personal and rooted in her own life experiences. Growing up in the spotlight as the only girl among 9 siblings in the famous Osmond family, she learned early that success requires dedication and resilience. Fame and fortune didn't come without their challenges, and Marie never took her own achievements for granted. It goes beyond money, and it's all about legacy. She wants to leave her children not just a bank account, but values that will carry them through life. One of the main reasons for her choice is the fact that Marie and her husband have long been committed to philanthropy, and their decision to leave their wealth to charity is only a demonstration of their commitment to using their resources to help others. They plan to support causes that matter deeply to them, including children's hospitals and mental health organizations. For Marie, giving back is a way to honor her own struggles and the challenges she faced as a mother and a woman. It's also a way to create a legacy that reaches far beyond the family, touching lives in ways that money alone cannot. Despite what some may assume, Marie's decision to exclude her children from her will doesn't mean she's abandoned them. On the contrary, she continues to support her children financially and emotionally throughout their lives. Marie has emphasized that she wants to help them when needed, and this includes paying for education, healthcare, or life's unexpected hurdles. The difference is in the long-term approach, and she believes that once her children reach adulthood, they should stand on their own feet. Marie Osmond's announcement was shocking, yes, but it also sparked a wider conversation about what it means to be a parent, a provider, and a role model. Her decision forces everyone to think about the legacy they intend to leave, not just in cash, but in values. In a world where celebrity families often make headlines for extravagance and entitlement, Marie's choice stands out as thoughtful and courageous. It reminds us that sometimes the greatest gift a parent can give a child is the freedom to find their own way and the strength to succeed on their own terms. This decision didn't just spark curiosity, it ignited a full-blown debate. Marie Osmond's stance challenged a deeply ingrained idea that parents should leave their wealth to their children as a gift, a safety net, or a reward. But for Marie, this wasn't about being a harsh or uncaring parent. She firmly believes that handing over large sums of money can do more harm than good, as it can foster the qualities she has worked hard to steer her children away from. She's seen enough in her own life and career to know that true success is earned, not inherited. Marie's view is quite controversial, but she's not the first famous figure to choose to leave their fortunes to charity or to put conditions on their inheritances. For example, tech mogul Warren Buffett famously pledged to give away more than 99% of his wealth rather than leaving a fortune to his children. Actress Gwyneth Paltrow has spoken about encouraging her children to carve their own paths without the cushion of inherited wealth. And then there's Jay-Z and Beyoncé, who have openly discussed the importance of teaching their kids the value of work and not relying solely on their family name or money. These choices are part of a growing trend among wealthy parents who want to protect their children from what they see as the pitfalls of inherited wealth. But not everyone was on board with Marie's decision. Critics accused her of being too strict or even unfair to her children. Some wondered if this public announcement might hurt her relationship with her kids or create resentment. Questions were raised about how her children felt and whether they truly understood or agreed with the choice. Media outlets and talk show hosts debated the ethics and implications, with some saying that inheritance is a form of love and security, while others applauded her for promoting independence. Marie didn't shy away from the criticism. In interviews and public appearances, she stood firm, explaining that this was a deeply personal decision shaped by her life experiences and values. She says that the goal was never to punish her children, but to prepare them for a life of responsibility and achievement. Through it all, Marie's message has remained clear. True love means guiding the next generation to stand on their own, not making life easier by giving them a shortcut. It's a philosophy that challenges tradition, but reflects her commitment to raising children who are strong, capable, and ready to face the world head-on. And while the conversation around her choice continues, Marie Osmond's decision has undeniably pushed the public to rethink what legacy really means. But Marie's bold choices didn't stop with her will. Behind the headlines, there have been moments that tested her resilience, scandals, public backlash, and controversies that revealed a different side of the beloved star and challenged not just her reputation, but the very foundation of her carefully guarded family life. Marie's other scandals and public backlash. Marie Osmond's life in the public eye has never been without its storms, and over the years she has faced controversies that tested her strength and shaped her public image in unexpected ways. These moments revealed a complicated side to Marie beneath the polished surface of her star-studded career, and they are moments that showed her as both vulnerable and human. One of the most personal and surprising revelations Marie made was about the confusion she faced in her youth. She opened up about how the trauma she faced in her childhood affected her understanding of her own identity. At one point, Marie admitted she thought she might be gay, not out of true attraction, but because of the deep emotional scars left by her early experiences. It was a brave and honest admission, one that helped shed light on how trauma can blur the lines of self-perception and identity. Marie's willingness to speak openly about this has been praised for helping others who may have faced similar struggles, even though such honesty sometimes sparked discomfort and debate among more conservative circles. But the challenges didn't stop there. Marie found herself at the center of a public controversy over a weight loss product she endorsed. Marie herself lost some weight after many years of trying so hard to, and when asked about the secret to her weight loss, she tied it to a particular weight loss product company she was working with. Fans and critics alike immediately began questioning the claims made in advertisements tied to her name. Accusations flew that the marketing was misleading, promising quick fixes that didn't match real results. For a woman known for her polished image and wholesome reputation, this backlash hit hard. It raised difficult questions about celebrity endorsements and the responsibility stars have when lending their names to products. Marie responded by emphasizing her own commitment to health and wellness, explaining that she believed in the product, but also recognized the importance of transparency and honesty with her fans. She also spoke about how losing weight helped her navigate some terrible habits. In an interview, she spoke about how she had to love her body again, saying, "I have made peace with how mean I've been to my body through the years. Especially being a younger girl, it's really important to make peace, just from a psychological standpoint, and to apologize for all the maltreatment. You know, there was a time when I literally wept for how I treated myself and just thought, what a horrible thing I did to myself." But that's not the only time Marie has had fans and the media talking. Financial struggles have also played a surprising role in her journey. Despite decades of success in music, television, and business, not all of her ventures brought the kind of stability one might expect. Some of her business projects, including attempts at expanding her brand in the wellness and lifestyle markets, faced setbacks and losses. These challenges are often glossed over in public discussions of celebrity wealth, but for Marie they were very real and humbling experiences. They showed her that fame does not always guarantee financial security, and that setbacks can happen even to those who seem to have it all. Through each of these challenges, Marie Osmond has remained a figure of resilience. She has weathered storms that might have broken others, always returning with a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to authenticity. These moments, difficult as they were, contributed to the layered story of a woman who has lived in the spotlight but never lost sight of her humanity. And just as Marie has faced controversies head-on, she has also confronted the most private battles behind closed doors that would shape her decisions about family, legacy, and the kind of life she hopes to leave behind. Marie Osmond's entire life has been full of highs and lows, love and loss, applause and controversy. But through it all, she's stayed true to what she believes in, even when it wasn't easy. At the end of the day, her decision to cut her children out of her will wasn't about money. It was about values, hard lessons, and the kind of legacy she wants to leave behind. Whether you agree with her or not, one thing is clear. Marie is a woman who's lived life on her own terms. And in the end, maybe that's the real gift she's giving her children, the strength to do the same. But what do you think? Is Marie's decision to cut her children out of her will fair? Tell us in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click on the next video on your screen, like this video, and subscribe to our channel for more updates.